After the disastrous update from Dying Light 2 that introduced a new predatory monetization shop, it got me thinking that this is just another symptom of something called modern day gaming, where it's built on false promises, a lack of creative freedom, and the industry has overall just kind of accepted these lower standards. It's apparently perfectly acceptable in the eyes of some that in this day and age to go ahead and mislead your fan base for months on end for a scrapped game that's not even being developed. And today I'm going to explain to you in 5 reasons why modern gaming sucks. Number 1, performance. Number 2, false advertisement. Number 3, greed. Number 4, creativity. And number 5, greed part 2. Greed is so rampant within this industry, it's where most developers go wrong. They get money hungry. They throw out their company's mission statement in order to make a quick buck. Number 1, performance. Too often nowadays do you get a game that is just in an absolute abysmal state at launch and it has become the norm. It's funny how most of these developers say that they're working on their dream project and that they're excited to deliver it to you, and then lo and behold, it's the fucking Callisto Protocol, where the game launches as a slideshow where if I went into PowerPoint, hit space a bunch of times, there would still be more frames than whatever the hell is going on right here. Same thing went for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Great game, but Jesus Christ, Respawn, what were you thinking releasing it in this state? And to this day, there are still issues with reliable performance. Could you believe that? What the And then we have The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, and it looks like Joel took a page out of the Canadian Prime Minister's book here on his appearance. It's funny how these developers can spend years working on their games and still not be optimized properly, but once the game is released and it's in the hands of audiences, they are somehow miraculously blessed with the knowledge on how to fix their game within 72 hours. But that's only after they posted their tweet telling you how they understand the frustration and they're working hard and diligent to fix it as soon as possible. Are you kidding me? And yet, fans will still decide to defend them at every single point. Have you tried not running the game on max settings? What are you complaining about? This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this game. My favorite one, you should upgrade your PC. Oh, thank you, Todd Howard. Did you install the day 1 patch? I'm not having any issues. How about you just make a functioning game so I don't have to spend hours on Reddit trying to find the best settings to complete the tutorial? How about you put your game into such a polished state before going gold so I don't have to spend 6 hours downloading the 60 gig day 1 patch that has a bigger file size than the actual game?
Spalony wędrowiec.
Tutaj jest jeszcze.
What the fuck?
Number 2, false advertisement. We have all just kind of accepted that it's completely okay to be falsely advertised. I mean, I probably have more luck winning the lottery than Ubisoft does releasing a game that was accurate to their E3 demos. While games like No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk are in much better places now, their hype was built on unfulfilled promises. You remember how Hello Games said that they have multiplayer?
Will you be able to play with your friends? Yeah.
But because of how massive the scale of this game is, the likelihood of you running into another player is slim to none. And fast forward to a few days after release, you have 2 players on a PlayStation live stream standing at the exact same spot, but no one is to be found here. I remember that. You also have games like Dying Light 2, where it said their world would be like a modern Dark Ages. It was originally in the description, and it was the slogan blasted all over promotion. But fast forward a few months, and guess what disappears from the Steam store description? That's right. How about that? You also have companies like Activision Blizzard trick their fans on the promise of delivering a PvE experience. They even use it as the main reason to go ahead and make a sequel. Blizzard showcased different levels on what their new expansive world was going to look like, and fans were excited pre-ordering under the promise of a satisfying story and campaign being delivered in Overwatch 2. Blizzard was actively hyping up fans, doing promotions, interviews for the sequel, as it was closer to their vision that they originally had for the franchise, while behind the scenes, they actually just stopped developing it. They canned the project and told the public, otherwise. Fast forward, Overwatch 2 is released, and it did minimal changes to existing maps. They removed one player from teams, making it go from a 6v6 to a 5v5. The major change from 1 to 2 was the shift to implement new monetization practices. How fucking convenient. The shop was designed to be extremely predatory by offering up skins that were $11, but then when you go and look at the in-game currency, you can see you don't have that option. You gotta spend $20 on their shitty in-game currency if you want the monkey business skin for Winston here. What up, Winston? And the best part is they actually have the nerve to go and charge for that content that they already promised to players that players paid for. I mean, granted, it did blow up in their face publicly with Steam reviews overwhelmingly negative, good riddance, but there are still players playing nearly every day, and it's probably making more money than ever before. But the fact that they could even get away with this in the first place should tell you exactly where modern day gaming is currently at. The days of expecting a fully complete product that's working on day one, a good suitable experience, it's over now. Part 3. Greed and quality. The gaming industry is just ran and fueled by greed at this point, that nearly every action of most studios are just trying to nickel and dime their customers even further. You have companies like PlayStation increasing their PS Plus price by around 33% across all tiers here. The reason why being that they need to continue bringing high quality games and value added benefits. And in the same month that they did that, the same month that they increased their prices by 33%, they offered Saints Row, another disastrous game that suffered from originality. And yes, of course, it was not properly functioning on day one. While it is mainly fixed now, this is the high quality game that PlayStation is so happy to deliver to you for subscribing to their services. This is what you can get after you go ahead and chalk up $80 a year to play online. Maybe the Lizard Squad should have just kept them offline. And let me remind you that the change to this subscription service comes after PlayStation made a PlayStation portable device that can't even stream the same games you pay for in the $160 tier. Are you kidding? But let's take a step away from the AAA gaming sphere for a little bit, okay? Let's look at some good old indie titles. I love me some indie titles, alright? As indie developers now are truly making some great accomplishments. BattleBit, that game was made by 3 people with a small budget and became the game that Battlefield fans desperately wanted EA and DICE to do. This Roblox style shooter was able to figure out how to make a scoreboard and level progressions instead of DICE, a company with over 700 employees and the funding of EA money. They couldn't figure it out, but 3 people could. Indie developers are becoming the true standout in recent years. I hope nothing bad happens. Are you fucking kidding me? No! Unity Technologies, creators of the Unity engine, a major game engine available to developers, decided to impose new fees and practically destroy any goodwill that they had with their customers. Sounds familiar, am I right? These new monetization practices will force developers to pay a flat fee of 20 cents per install, thereby crippling most studios' income and profit, because lo and behold, a majority of companies that use this engine are indie studios. If your game is free to play, you might as well just go and start boarding up your shop. Developers like Facepunch Studios, the creators of Rust, spent 10 years making it on Unity's engine. They paid them every year, and now Unity decided to change the rules, and they have no choice but to abide by it. What are you gonna do? Change your entire game to a new engine within a few months? Absolutely not! Unity is just going around and sticking their middle finger so far up the ass of developers they can taste it. It's good to see that some developers are protesting this and straight up saying, we're going to delete our game before this policy comes into play. Good for them. Apparently, everyone now wants to go ahead and tarnish their name because, you know, more money. You have some out-of-touch CEO that had the bright idea on how they can nickel and dime their fan base even more, and lo and behold, here we are. Like, seriously, AAA gaming is pretty rough. You have companies like Techland, you know, they got greedy, and they went ahead and added in-game currencies to their mainly single-player game. You have companies like Creative Assembly, the developers behind Total War, doubling doubling their cost of Lord Pack DLCs while offering either the same amount of content or less compared to previously priced DLCs. And they even went as far as saying that they'll kill the game if you don't cough up to these new prices. What? It is now the norm to spend more money for less. That is the overall theme of modern day gaming. I understand that games are super expensive now. They are way more money than they ever used to be. Horizon Forbidden West had a budget of over $212 million. The Last of Us Part 2 had a budget of $220 million. And they still couldn't find a way to make a good story. That one is gonna piss off a lot of people. I guess most of their budget went into falsely advertising their fans into thinking they're gonna get one game and they got something else completely different. The prices of games are going up. I understand that. You have games like Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, all for $59.99, and they are fully complete packages. Most of the time, they have little to no bugs. But on the other hand, you have games like Gollum and Madden and Redfall, which are either the same price or more money and offer little to no enjoyment, and in terms of quality are nowhere near the three that I mentioned previously. Gollum and Redfall, my god, Gollum launched and it was considered one of the worst games of 2023 because of how little it offered in terms of content. Nothing was engaging or even exciting about it, just this one fucking rat looking thing running around doing puzzles that were half working and preventing progression. It literally closed down an entire studio. Redfall had terrible direction, a co-op game that's lacking basic functions such as matchmaking and shared progression. It is 2023 and we can't figure out the basics. Just This was a game aiming to be the next big milestone in Arcane's resume, and it ended up being a complete dookie and a laughingstock to Microsoft's commitment to making high quality games. And Madden? Don't even get me started about Madden. If I had the option to be circumcised, awake, without any painkillers or anything, or play a game of Madden, I'm choosing the former. The fact that EA is still somehow able to do what they're doing with the Madden franchise is beyond ridiculous. I miss the old Madden, okay? I used to play that shit growing up. I love this one on the Wii. That was top tier. But now we have this. What the f? But I forgot, game development, it's extremely difficult. Do you know how hard it is to add a Slayer mode into Halo? A core game mode that has been in literally every single Halo since Combat Evolved. The idiots at 343, who basically had an unlimited budget and resources due to being with Microsoft, couldn't figure that shit out. Number 4. Creativity is dying, okay? Every single game that comes out now, they're all trying to be the same thing. Live service, which is arguably one of the worst things to come out of gaming in the last 5 to 10 years. Everyone is just too caught up with trying to compete for your time, attention, and more importantly, your money. And because of that mindset, developers are just going and making the same goddamn game over and over. It's getting old very quickly. While there are some outliers that we have discussed, everyone is slowly transitioning to making the same thing. As someone who was super excited for the new Suicide Squad game, this one single screenshot killed nearly all of my hype and many others too. A 4-player co-op story-driven game has a battle pass, cosmetics, and a store. What the f? But it also has those different level weapon tiers. You got your green, your blue, your yellow, or your exotic. F you, bro. You already know it's going to work hand in hand with the store on day one, whether it's through cosmetics or weapon upgrades. It just feels like every game now, you load up into it, you have your battle pass, your predatory shops with the cosmetics, and sometimes you got boosters in there too. It all goes hand in hand, working together to basically kill any creativity that is left amongst this industry. Because of the shop that you're seeing on screen right now, you now run into the issue that there could be this intentional degradation of base game content and a heavy shift towards the in-game store to encourage spending to your fans. Why provide free and exciting updates when you know you aren't going to make a profit, when those resources could be best spent making $12 emotes that you know your fan base is going to buy? And the next thing you know, you have to buy the major expansion expansion pass to first stay in touch to what the game is offering, but then you also need the annual pass in order to play the seasonal weekly activities. And if you want to go ahead and play the dungeon with your friend who doesn't have the annual pass, they gotta go ahead and spend another $20 just to join you. It's getting exhausting. Number 5, Grade Part 2, Extra Monetization and Predatory Shops. People will tell you it's entirely optional, when in reality, developers use these tactics to capitalize on your FOMO every single chance that they get. Whether it's through you being bombarded with in-game messages telling you about what's new in the store, or how they're trying to get you to buy the new Payday 2 bundle that costs you 550 points. So you look in the shop, there's no option for the 550, so you gotta spend more in order to obtain it. Others will implement limited time discounts to make you feel like you need to spend money now so you aren't left out. Some companies will hide behind this shield that they need to implement shops like this in order to raise more capital. They need to be able to pay their developers and help fund future projects. Meanwhile, their CEOs are making more money than ever before. And then when you go and look at the company's Glassdoor reviews, it's developers complaining about the low pay and terrible work environment. The problem with these live service games too is that instead of just giving you all the content on day one, they rather just drip feed it to you over months. Some developers will intentionally design their game to ensure they make you spend less time in game and more time in menus or loading screens. I'm looking at you, Blizzard, with Diablo 4. They updated the game to extend your time in loading screens by 2 to 4 seconds. No other reason aside from extending your game time. Seriously? A majority of modern gaming is simply no longer hop in, hop online, play some games and play some matches solo or with your friends. Like, of course, some studios are still out there going and pushing these epic single player adventures that fulfill your deepest desires in a game. There are still those games out there where you can sit back, enjoy your time with the boys into engaging content that the developer made for you. They're out there, but sometimes they just can't help themselves. Their greed takes over. They add in boosters to quote unquote help you out and add in-game currencies to make your lives easier. Everyone is competing for your time, attention, and your money. You have weekly updates. You have timers ticking down for seasonal battle passes. It's like a full-time job. You go out in your day all morning and evening, whether you attend school or you have a job or you're simply just busy all day and you want to come back, play some games, and relax. Instead, you just have your chores laid out in front of you. Have you done your daily bounties where you need to kill a zombie with a spear you can't find? Time is ticking. The weekly event ends tomorrow. You better log in to get your reward. I'm sick of games launching in an awful state. I'm sick of being falsely advertised. I'm over the actions of developers trying to milk me dry of more money. I can't stand that every game just feels the same. Always online live service garbage. I'm sick of developers being so hyper focused on utilizing my fear of missing out rather than just creating good quality games that are entertaining to play. Modern gaming sucks, and I'm happy to see that some fans and players are revolting to this new trend. And that, my friends, is everything that I have to say about modern day gaming. Goodbye.